day, everyone. We are the group 8, and welcome to our presentation today. So let me start by saying a few words about me and my buddies. So by the way, I'm Alvin B. Lumata, together with Norifi Suarez, Mark James Oyamot, Lalaine Plaza, and Welneros Gonzalez. As you can see above, our topic today is Chapter 9. It's all about the United Nations standard minimum for the treatment of prisoner.
Standard Minimum Rules for Treatment of Prisoner, adopted by the First United Nations Congress on the Prevention of Crime and Treatment of Offenders, held at Geneva in 1995, and approved by Economic and Social Council by its Resolution 663-C of 31 July 1957 and 276 of 13th of May 1977. This standard is also known as the Nelson Mandela Rules and is landmark updated of the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoner, first adopted in 1955 and the result of 5 years of negotiation among intergovernmental organization or IGOs including UNODC or United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, civil society groups and independent experts and consultant. Introductory statements or preliminary observation. First is the UN standard minimum for the treatment of prisoner are not intended to describe in detail a model system or penal institution. This sake only on the basis of the general consensus of contemporary thought and essential elements of the most adequate system of today, to set out what is generally accepted as being good principle and practice in the treatment of prisoners and the management of institution. Second is, in view of the great variety of legal, social, economic, and geographical conditions of the world, it is evident that not all of the rules are capable of application in all places and at all times. This should, however, serve to stimulate a constant endeavor to overcome practical difficulties in the way of their application, in the knowledge that they represent, as a whole, a minimum condition which are accepted as suitable by the United Nations. 3. On the other hand, the rules cover a field in which truth is constantly developing. They are not intended to preclude experiment and practices, provide there are harmony with the principles and seek to further and purposes which derive from the text of the rules as a whole. It will always be justifiable for the Central Prison Administration to authorize departures from the rules in the spirit. 4. The rules do not seek to regulate the management of institution. Set aside from would be equally applicable in such institution. Categories of young prisoner should include at least all young persons who come with the jurisdiction of juvenile courts. As a rule, such young person should not be sentenced to imprisonment. Rules of general application. Basic principle. The following rules shall be applied impartially. First is there shall no discrimination on grounds of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other status. No, walay diskriminasyon di sa sulod sa institusyon. Diskriminasyon sa color, anong kulay ng balat, anong kasarian, anong lingwahe o relihiyon o anong relihiyon. O ikaw ba isang politiko o national, kung saan ka nang galing o taga ibang bansa ka ba. Wala ring diskriminasyon sa pamamay-ari na isang bagay na pamamay-ari mo and birth or other status. It is necessary to respect the religious belief and moral precepts of the group to which a prisoner belongs. Sa sulod sa institusyon, necessary nga itong respetoon ang mga relihiyon o mga tinuuhan o sa mga grupo na mga tinuuhan angay jud respetoon. Registry book. In every place where persons are imprisoned, there shall be kept bound registration book with numbered pages, in which shall be entered in respect of each prisoners received. Ang sa tanan daw nga na mga institusyon nga sa mga prisuhan, kailangan na ay registration book nga daghag pages para maigo dito daghan man ang priso. Ang content dito sa register books, ang isulat dito ang information concerning his identity, kung sa iyang pangalan, edad, asagikan, then the reason for his commitment and the authority, unsay hinungdan nga nung nasud siya. Dili basta-basta nga isud siya diri kung wala hinungdan. Then the day, hour of his admission and release. Nasa dito ang ibutang kung anos asiya ni sud sa institusyon o kanos apod siya mogawas. Dito isuwat tanan sa registry book. No person shall be received in an institution a valid commitment or of which details shall be previously entered in the register. O dili basta-basta nga mudawat sila o piniriso nga walay valid nga nahitabo, walay valid nga rason nganong isod naman ni siya diri og kalit nga may valid nga rason. Next is separation categories. The different categories of prisoners shall be kept in separate institution or parts of institution, taking account of their sex, age, criminal record, and the legal reason for their detention are necessities of their treatment. Men and women shall so far possible be detained in separate institution. Is an institution which receive both men and women. The whole of the premises allocated to women shall entirely separated. Dapat ang babaeng lalaki kung mahimo lagyo dili yun dapat nga iisa o prisuhan. Lahi ang prisuhan sa babae, lahi pod ang prisuhan sa lalaki, dili yun pwede nga magsapang babaeng lalaki. Next is the untried prisoner and untried prisoner shall be kept separate from convicted prisoner. Unsa na po ning untried prisoner? Untried prisoner mao ning mga piniriso nga kiyatagan og katungod yung magtrabaho. Kung motrabaho sila, maka-income sila. Kung sila motrabaho, nara sa ila. O unsa po ang convicted prisoner? Ang convicted prisoner mao ning katong na-convict og mga criminal offense nga ilang ipangbuhat. Kailangan yun nato nga ilahi-ilahi ang convicted ug untried prisoner. Kailangan yun ilahi silang duha. Next is persons imprisoned for debt and other civil prisoner shall be kept separate from person imprisoned by reason of criminal offense. Oh, ang tao nga napriso tungod sa utang, tungod sa pagkasala sa mga sibil nga mga offense nga nakasala siya, ilahi gyud dapat sa mga piniriso nga nag-commit og mga criminal offense. Example, ang utanga na priso, ilahi gyud siya sa nakapatay, murderer, ilahi gyud dapat. Then D is young prisoner shall be kept separate from adults. Ang mga batan-on nga mga piniriso kailangan yun i-separate sa mga edad-idara na.
Good day, sir. My name is Leleno Plaza. My topic is all about accommodation.
Accommodation. So, a prisoner, or now commonly referred to as person deprived of liberty despite his or her crime committed, still has the right to be treated properly in a cell or prison. A. Where sleeping accommodation is individual cells or rooms. Each prisoner shall occupy by night a cell room by himself. If for special reasons, such as temporary overcrowding, it becomes necessary for the Central Prison Administration to make an exception. It is not desirable to have two prisoners in a cell room. When it comes to accommodation, the standard procedure really is giving prisoner individual room. But as we all know, for reasons including insufficient cells through unsearable, a lot of prisoners shares a room or cell. B. Where dormitories are used, they shall occupied by prisoner carefully selected as being suitable to associate with one another in those conditions. There shall all regular supervision by night, in keeping with the nature of the institution. In other foreign countries, especially the developed ones, an institution for prisoners include dormitories. These dormitories are basically occupied by those prisoners already sorted out by the management, meaning the selection of prisoners sharing a dorm depends on their given conditions. Of course, if the great risk of prisoner high-level crime is sorted out, together for the possibly might cause ruckus inside the dorm. And that's the particular reasons why they are sorted out. At the first place, in order to prevent such as undesirable things to happen. As stated, the accommodation of the prisoner should be the human. Thus, the environment should not put the prisoner at risk of diseases and if possible, the accommodation provided is comfortable to stay in. D. In all places where prisoners are required to live or work, the window shall be large enough to enable the prisoner to read or work by the natural light, and shall be constructed that they can allow to instance or fresh air, whether or not there is artificial ventilation. Artificial light shall be provided sufficient for the prisoner to read or work without injury to eyesight. Places or rooms required for prisoner to live or work should have bigger window frames, for this will enable the prisoner staying in to have enough fresh air. In addition to this, artificial light should also be installed in these places or rooms for the prisoner to not hurt their eyes while reading or even hurt themselves while doing work. A. The sanitary installation shall be adequate to enable every prisoner to comply with the needs of nature when necessary and in a clean and decent manner. Sanitary areas basically Comfort rooms are also installed so that prisoner may have a clean and decent way to go in a cold by nature. F. Adequate bathing and shower installation shall be provided so that every prisoner may be enabled and required to have a bathing or shower at a temperature suitable to the climate, as frequently as necessary for general hygiene according to the season and geographical region, but at least once a week in a temperate climate. Of course, prisoners should maintain good hygiene too. Thus, adequate bathing and shower installation are being provided too. Where prisoners could use to fresh up, and take note this could only be used as frequently as necessary for general hygiene according to the season and geographical region. So the frequency of prisoner going to the bath depends by these conditions. G. All parts of an institution regularly used by prisoners shall be properly maintained and kept scrupulously clean all the times. Lastly, those accommodations or areas I have mentioned earlier, such as the rooms, dorms, areas where prisoners do work, comfort rooms, and bathing areas shall be cleaned at all times. The cleaning this time actually depends on the management, but commonly the prisoner itself being scheduled or assigned are the ones to clean an aforementioned areas in the institutions. Personal hygiene. Prisoners shall required to keep their persons clean, and to this end, they shall provided with the water such as toilet articles as necessary for health and cleanliness. In order to that, prisoner may maintain a good appearance compatible with their self-facilities shall be provided proper care of the hair and beard, and men shall enabled to shave regularly. Moving on to the personal hygienes, prisoners are not deprived of grooming themselves. That is why they are provided haircuts and are told to shave regularly. Maintaining prisoner clean and environment is must inside the prisons to prevent diseases, such as sanitary areas or bathing places are well provided, and they are even given necessary things to clean up themselves like toiletries, clothing, and bedding. It's not new to us that prisoners are also clothed uniformly. May it will be in the form of overall or simply as t-shirt inside the prison institution. A. Every prisoner who is not allowed to wear their own clothing shall be provided with an outfit of the clothing suitable for their climate and adequate to keep him in good health. Such as clothing shall in the manner be degrading or humiliating. As stated, for those prisoners not allowed to use their own clothes, they are given by the management clothes to wear, and the code says the clothes being provided should be comfortable and decent for the prisoner to wear. B. All clothing shall be clean and kept in proper condition, and their clothing shall be changed and washed as often as necessary for the maintenance of hygiene. All clothing, owned or provided, should be kept and clean in proper condition. So, meaning, prisoners should be mindful of their clothing. It is strongly advised to that their undergarments should be washed as frequently as necessary. Of course, even on the prison, hygiene should not be taken for granted. Who wants to smell bad and look dirty anyway? C. In exceptional circumstances, whenever a prisoner is removed outside an institution for an authorized purpose, he shall be allowed to wear his own clothing or other inconspicuous clothing. In instance where a prisoner is removed in prison for authorized purposes, he or she is allowed to use his own clothing or being clothed in a way that he or she isn't necessarily be identified as a prisoner. D. If prisoners are allowed to wear their own clothing, arrangements shall be made on their admission to the institution to ensure that it shall be clean and fit for use. In situations where the prisoner is to wear their own clothing inside the prison, which is very common thing, the clothes that they be using in being checked by the management first to ensure that it's befitting and comfortable to use. A. Every prisoner shall, in accordance with the local or national standards, be provided with a separate bed and with separate and sufficient bedding, which shall be clean when it's issued, kept in a good order, change often, change enough to ensure. Food. Every prisoner shall be provided by the administration at the usual hours with food of nutritional value, adequate for health and strength, of wholesome quality and well prepared as served. Drinking water is be available to every prisoner whenever they needs it. When it comes to food, prisoners should be well provided with good nutritional value. Also, drinking water shall be provided whenever a prisoner wants it. Exercises and sport. To ensure a healthy body, prisoners are also pursued to have exercise or play sports. A. Every prisoner who is not employed in outdoor work shall be have at least 1 hour of suitable exercise in the open air daily if the weather permits. So, doing exercise and playing sports at least for 1 hour is particularly suggested to those prisoners who are not into outdoor works. B. Young prisoners and other of suitable age and physique shall receive physical and recreational training during the period of exercise. To this end, space, installations, and other equipment should be provided. So, lastly, since all prisoners are recommended to do exercise or play sports, such as facilities and equipment needed to use or should be provided.
Medical service. At every institution there shall be available a service of at least one qualified medical officer who should have some knowledge of psychiatry. The medical service should be organized in a close relationship to the general health administration of the community or nation. They shall be There shall include a psychiatric service for the diagnosis. So meaning daw sa kada institution kinahanglan naagid daw isa ka medical personnel nga naay experience gikan sa gawas. Kinahanglan pud daw nga naay psychiatric service para sa mga naay sakit sa mga sa mental or mga abnormalities sa ilahang pagkutaon. Then, sick prisoners who required specialist treatment shall be transferred to the specialized institution or to civil hospitals. Where hospitals facilities are provided in an institution, their equipment, furnishing, and pharmaceutical supplies shall be proper for medical care and treatment of sick prisoners, and there shall be a suitable trained officer. Meaning daw, atong mga prisoner nga kinahanglan og specialized nga mga treatment o kinahanglan og mga doktor nga nag-specialize sa ana nga sakit, kinahanglan daw i-transfer dito sa dool nga hospital nga kargado og kini mga gamit bitaw nga pang treatment ato nga kuan ato nga sakit para ato nga piniriso. C. The service of a qualified dental officer shall be available to every prisoner. So meaning daw ang isa ka dental officer kinahanglan gid daw dali ra ma-access sa mga prisoner para magpa tan-aw sa ilahang ngipon. D. In women's institution there shall be a specialized accommodation for all necessary prenatal and postnatal care and treatment. Arrangement shall be made wherever practicable for children to be born in a hospital outside the institution. If a child is born in prison, this fact that not be mentioned in the birth certificate. Sa women's institution daw sa mga prisuhan sa mga babae, kinahanglan gid daw na ay kunsay murag man bitaw sa ka nurse or itawag pa lang aning midwife undahay nga mo'y mag-assist sa mga sa pag-anak o paghuman og anak. E. Where nursing in infant were allowed to remain in institution with their mothers, provision shall be made for a nursery staffed by qualified persons where the infant shall be placed when they are not in the care of their mother. So meaning daw sa isa ka institution na ay murag nursery may isa ka nursery kung asa didto bitaw ibutang ang mga ako dito magpatutoy ang mga ginikanan nga mga piniriso nga naay mga anak bitaw tapos dito apod kinahanglan ang bantay dito is masaligan sa isa ka institution. Tapos dito apod ibutang ang mga bata bantayan atong mga nurse or pinsa ang ilang sa masaligan dito para dito ibutang kung wala kung paghuman og baton at sa mga piniriso kung ibalik na sa silda ang mga piniriso na mama nana. F. The medical officer shall see and examine every prisoner as soon as possible after his admission and hereafter as necessary, with a view particularly to the discovery of physical or mental illness and the taking of necessary measures, the segregation of prisoners suspected of infectious or contagious condition, the noting of physical or mental defect which might hamper rehabilitation, and the determination of the physical capacity of every prisoner for works. So meaning daw, ang isa ka piniriso, una siya isulod sa isa ka institution, kinahanglan gid daw i-examine siya kung sa iyang sakit, kung makatakod, kung grabe pa ba o iyang sakit. Tapos, kinahanglan gid daw i-segregate ito siya para malahi kung naay mga sakit nga makahawa bitaw, na makatakod. Tapos, dito apod mailhan nila kung sa pagitong mga piniriso nga capable nga magtrabaho pagyud o kaya pa itrabaho. G. The medical officer shall have the care of the physical and mental health of the prisoners and should daily see all sick prisoners, all who complain of illness, and any prisoner whom his attention is specially directed. So meaning daw kinahanglan gud sa ka medical officer dito sa isa ka institution na makita ang tanan prisoner nga naisakit o katuang kinahanglan gud og medical assistant gikan sa iya H. The medical officer shall report to the director wherever he considered that a prisoner physical or mental health has been or will be injuriously affected by continued imprisonment or any condition of imprisonment. So meaning daw, ang medical officer is mag-report dito sa director sa isa ka institution kung asa ang isa daw ka kung ang isa ba ka piniriso na naay sakit is ang pagkapriso ba siya is makasamot sa iyang sakit o ang tanan o ang mga palakad sa isa ka institution na napasamot sa sakit sa isa ka piniriso. Then the medical officer shall regularly inspect and advise the director upon. Meaning daw, advise na sa medical officer at director about sa 1. The quantity, quality, preparation, and service of food. So, ang quality kung masustansya ba or anang fresh ba nga ang panggamit ng mga ingredients sa isa ka pagkaon. 2. The hygiene and cleanliness of the institution and the prisoners. Ang kahinlo sa isa ka prisoner sa lagi ang kahinlo o kakuan kalimpyo sa isa ka institution o sa prisoner so sa prisuhan or sa ang isa ka piniriso. 3. The sanitation, heating, lighting, and ventilation of the institution. So ang ventilation kung kuan ba nabay hangin, kuan dili ba alimuot, ang suga inana then 4. The sustainability and cleanliness of prisoners clothing and bedding. So ang kahinlo sa kuan sa nina sa isa ka piniriso kung siyempre kung hugaw ang isa ka piniriso sa nina niya siyempre magtagid sa iyang lawas kumot basin kumot magkos og sakit sa iya. Then 5. The observance of the rules concerning physical education and sport in cases where there is no technical personnel in charge of this activity. So meaning daw dapat na ay magbantay sa magkontay, di ba magdula man gyud ng mga piniriso dito sa sulod sa isa ka institution. So meaning daw batin sobra na ka physical ang ilahang dula dapat makabalo sila kung unsay kuan ni rules ana nga duwa para di gud sila magkasakitay na bitaw basin mag-inulit nanay maulit magsinumbagay na dayon sila. G. The director shall take into consideration the report and advise that the medical officer, in case he concur that the recommendation made, shall take immediately step to give effect to those recommendations. If they are not within his competence, or if he does not concur with them, he shall immediately submit his own report and the advice of the medical officer to the higher authority. So meaning daw kinahanglan sundon sa isa ka director ang kuan advice sa isa ka medical officer para makabuhat na dayag og steps kung unsa ang kinahanglan buhaton na para sa isa ka institution para mas safety sa sakit, mas layo sa sakit ang isa ka institution. Pero pag dili gyud mosugot ang isa ka director sa isa ka institution, kinahanglan magbuhat sa isa ka report niya kung anong dili siya mosugot ato niya. Kinahanglan ipasa to nila kauban ng report or advice sa isa ka medical officer didto sa mas taas nga otoridad na discipline and punishment. Discipline and order shall be maintained with firmness but with no more restriction than the necessary for safe custody and well-ordered community life. So meaning daw ang pagkuan sa isa ka discipline or isa ka punishment if kinahanglan dili manubra para dili manubra sa kinahanglan para kuan dili mahadlok ang isa ka prisoner or dili kuan iyang pagpuyo sa isa ka institution nang dili siya matruma bitaw na kuan ginana siya. 1. No prisoner shall be employed in the service of the institution in any disciplinary capacity. So meaning daw pag makasala ang isa ka piniriso dili daw siya patabahoon kay dili man kuan kung siya nagtrabaho sa isa ka institution piniriso man siya dito so meaning pag makasala siya is siguro kasi ilahi siya sa iyang mga kauban dito bitaw sa kitong sa isa ka silda nga wala daw bintana inana. 2. This rule shall not be however impede the proper functioning of systems based on self-government under which specified social, educational, or sports activities or responsibilities are entrusted under supervision to prisoners who are formed into groups for the purpose of treatment. So meaning daw dapat dili maka-epekto ang isa ka punishment sa mga nabuo dito sa isa ka institution kung dito kung asa nagbuo ang grupo ang mga prisoner para naapod daw sila sila dito ay mga patakaran ana nga para sa social, educational, sports activities, responsibilities under supervision nana bitaw nya itong mga piniriso nga nabuo para sa pag-ayo nga sila The hours so fixed shall leave one day a week and sufficient time for educational and other activities required as part of the treatment and rehabilitation of the prisoners. So meaning sa isa ka semana kinahanglan na isa ka adlaw ilang pampahuway murag ilang happy day bitaw ana gra sila sila maglingaw-lingaw sila magpahuway sila nana. There shall be a system of equitable remuneration of the work of the prisoner. So meaning daw isa ka sistema kung asa ang kita is tunga sa isa ka institution o sa piniriso nga nagtrabaho. 2. Under the system, prisoners shall be allowed to spend at least a part of their earnings on approved article for their own use and to send a part of their earnings to their family. So, moto na sila karapatan nga gamiton ng ilahang bahin para ilang gastuhon para silang kaugalingon o naapod sila karapatan para ihatag kini sa ilahang mga isa nga pamilya dito sa gawas. Then 3. The system should also provide that a part of the earnings should be set aside by the administration so as to constitute a savings fund to be handed over to the prisoner on his release. So meaning daw naabot daw rights ang isa ka prisoner na himong savings ang iyahang part sa iyahang earnings kung asa kini makuha niya o nigawas niya sa presuhan.
Good day, sir. My report is all about education and recreation, social relations and aftercare, insane and mentally abnormal prisoners. Education and recreation. Number 1, provision shall be made for the further education of all prisoners capable of profiting, thereby including religious instruction in the countries where this is possible. The education of illiterate young prisoners shall be compulsory and special attention shall be paid to it by the administration. So number 1, kanatudloan yun na sila sa sulod sa prisuhan og education and mga religious. Number 2, so far as practicable, the education of prisoners shall be integrated with the education system of the country so that after their release, they may continue their education without difficulty. So, sa paggawa nila sa prisuhan, ga-continue gyapon ang learning sa pag continue gyapon nilang education para dili na sila maglisod. The number 3, recreational and cultural activities shall be provided in all institutions for the benefit of the mental and physical health of prisoners. So, nagyapon sila mga activities para sa ilang good, sa ilang physical and mental health. Social relations and aftercare. Special attention shall be paid to the maintenance and improvement of such relations between a prisoner and his family as are desirable in the best interest of both. From the beginning of a prisoner's sentence, consideration shall be given to his future after release and shall be encouraged and assisted to maintain or establish such relation with persons or agencies outside the institution as may promote the best interest of his family and his own social rehabilitation. Sa sulod sa prisuhan na sila special attention, especially sa ilang family, gaagyo na silang time nga mag-inistorya by patakabalo basing pagawas niya sa prisuhan hangkulatahon niya asawa mo nang na sila special attention mag-inistoryahay silang na sila communication sa ilang family. Number 1, service and agencies governmental or otherwise which assist released prisoner to re-establish themselves in society shall ensure so far as is possible and necessary that released prisoners be provided with appropriate documents and identification papers, have suitable homes and work to go to, are suitably and adequately clothed having regard to the climate and season, and have sufficient means to reach their destination and maintain themselves in the period immediately following their release. So sa paggawas nila sa prisuhan, dapat releasean na sila og papers. Mga application nga needed sa iyang pagtrabaho para madawat siya sa pagtrabaho, dapat releasean siya og mga papers, especially sa iyang birth certificate. Number 2, the approved representatives of such agencies shall have all necessary access to the institution and to prisoners and shall be taken into consolation as to the future of a prisoner from the beginning of his sentence. So after ma-release dapat kuanon po na sila, kumustahon na sila kung okay na ba sila, okay na ba ang panginabuhi, kumustahon gyapon na sila. Number 3, it is desirable that the activities of such agencies shall be centralized or coordinated as far as possible in order to secure the best use their efforts. Insane and mentally abnormal prisoner. Number 1, persons who are found to be insane shall not be detained in persons, and arrangements shall be made to remove them to mental institution as soon as possible. So, ang mga insane na mga sakit sa pangutok, ang kulang-kulang sa mga kulang-kulang sa pangutok, huna-huna, dili dyan na sila prisohon, i-remove na sila dito sa i-remove na sila din, i-transfer na sila sa mental health, sa mental institutions para para makuha na sila, para maalagaan ng sakto na yun na sila special attentions. Then number 2, prisoners who suffer from other mental diseases or abnormalities shall be observed and treated in a special institution under medical management. So, ang prisoners nga nagsuffer og mental disease, ginaobserbahan yun na sila din, na sila specialized institution niya under medical management. Number 3, during their stay in a prison, such prisoners shall be placed under the special supervision of a medical officer. Number 4, the medical of psychiatric service of the penal institution shall provide for the psychiatric treatment of all other prisoners who are in need of such treatment. That's all.
Good day, sir. My name is Norv Suarez. So, my topic for today is all about person under arrest or awaiting trial. Arrested or imprisoned by reason of a criminal charge against them who are detained either in a police custody or in a prison custody, which is jail, but have not yet been tried or sentenced will be referred to as untried prisoner. So, ang ginapasabot diri kaya ang mga tao nga gi-arrest tungod sa nabuhat nila nga krimen or sala, kaya napadulong sila sa kustodiya sa police or sa kulungan. Pero, wala pa man gilitis silang kaso, need nila ginaseparate sa mga convicted prisoner. Na ay 9 procedures sa mga person under arrest or awaiting prisoner. First is, unconvicted prisoner are presumed to be innocent and shall be treated as such. So, kung dili pa ka nahatulan or guilty or not guilty, or wala pa final judgment, dapat itrato ka nga sakto. Second, without prejudice to legal rules for the protection of individual liberty or prescribing the procedure to be observed in respect of untried prisoner, this prisoner shall be benefited by a special regime which is described in the following rules in the essential requirements only. Diri nga naay pamaagi or mga procedure para sa mga person nga wala pa final judgment nga nahitabo. So naay AB nga procedure para sa mga wala pa final judgment na mga untried prisoner. A. Untried prisoner shall be kept separate from convicted prisoner. Diri ang hindi totoong bilanggo ay dapat separate siya sa mga nahatulan na bilanggo. Young untried prisoner shall be kept separate from adult and shall in principle be detained in a separate institution. Kay ang mga bata nga wala pa nalitisan nga mga prisoner, need nila nga i-separate sa mga adults or mas nakakantanda pa sa ilaha. Number 3. Untried prisoner shall be sleep singly in a separate rooms with a reservation of different local custom in respect of the climate. Tulad ng mga prisoner kay dapat need na nila matulog sa ilang tagsatag sa mga silid, then dapat naka-separate sila. Then dapat pud ang ilang tulugan and dapat komportable sila. Number 4. Within the limits of compatible with the good order of the institution, untried prisoner may, if they so desire, have their food procedure on their own expense from the outside, either through the administration of through their family or friends. Otherwise, administration shall be their food. Namin dire sa number 4 nga ang mga wala pa nalitis sa mga bilanggo ay pwede sila makuha og pagkaon gamit ilahang kaugalingong gasto or sa ilang pamilya. Kung dili sila makuha og wala sila budget, ang administration ang maghatag sa iyaha or sa ilaha. An untried prisoner shall be allowed to wear his own clothes if it is clean and suitable. So ginamin dire pwede sila mosuot sa ilang kaugalingong mga silina as long as clean og presentable. B. If he wears prison dress, it shall be different from the supply to convict prisoner. Kung magsuot daw sila og sinina pang bilanggo, lahi siya sa mga ubang nahatulang bilanggo. Number 5. An untried prisoner shall always be offered opportunity to work but shall not be required to work. If he chooses to work, he shall be paid. Sa number 5, ang mga prisoner daw nga wala pa final judgment ay dapat palaging bigyan ng pagkakataon na magkaroon ng trabaho, ngunit if ganahan sila. Pero kung di sila ganahan, okay ra pod. Pero kung ganahan sila, kung magtrabaho, dapat need pod sila bayaran. Number 6. An untried prisoner shall be allowed to procure at his own expense or on the expense of a third party such books, newspaper, written materials, and other means of occupation as compatible with the interests of the administration of justice and the secure and good order of the institution. Diri sa number 6, ang isang taong wala pang final judgment ay dapat paghintulutang kumuha ng kanyang sariling gastos para gamitin at iba pang paraan ng trabaho na may kinalaman sa pangangasiwa ng hustisya at ang seguridad ng institusyon. Number 7, an untried prisoner shall be allowed to visit and treat his own doctor or dentist if they are reasonable ground for his application and he is able to pay any expenses incurred. Ang katong mga wala pa final judgment na mga prisoner kay need nila nga pahintulutan or bisitahon or gamutin ng kanilang sariling doktor or dentista kung may makatuwirang batayan para sa kanyang aplikasyon at kanyang bayaran ang anumang mga gasto ng mga natamo. So, diri ginamin nga ang mga awaiting prisoner nga wala pa final judgment need nila nga sila mobayad sa ilahang mga gasto if naa sila mga pamation ng mga sakit-sakit like anang sa magsakit ilahang ipon. Number 8. An untried prisoner shall be allowed to inform immediately his family of his detention and shall be given all reasonable facility for communicating with his family and friends and for receiving visit from them, subject only to restriction and supervision as unnecessary in the interest of the administration of justice and of the security and good order of the institution. Kasi number 8 kay ang ginakuan diri nga if napriso ang isa ka prisoner dapat ginapaalam jud sa mga family, relatives or mga friends nga napriso sila if kung mobisita pud ang mga ilahang mga relatives especially the family dapat tagaan sila og communicating nga comfortable sila og tagaan pud sila og kanang security para sa napriso or sa magbisita sa ilaha. The purposes of his defense, an untrained prisoner shall be allowed to apply for free legal aid where such aid is available and to receive visits from his legal advisor with a view to his defense and to prepare and hand to him confidential instructions. For these purposes, he shall, if he so desires, be supplied with written material. Interviews between the prisoner and his legal advisor may be within sight but not within the hearing of a police or institutional official. Ang awaiting prisoner or untried prisoner kay pwede siya mag-apply of free legal aid to defend her kaso nga gisampa sa iyaha. Civil prisoner encounters where the law permits imprisonment for death or by order of a court under any other non-criminal process. Persons in prison shall not be subjected to any greater restriction of severity than is necessary to ensure safe custody and good order. Their treatment shall be not least favorable than of untried prisoner with the reservation, however, that they may possibly be required to work. So diri sa bansa daw kay naa daw mga nakulong tungod sa danyos mula na gibayaran, dapat daw kana daw ng mga prisoner, dapat daw fair daw ang ilang pagtrato sa old og sa new, dili kay naay pabor-paboran. Person arrested or detained without charge, without prejudice to the provision of Article 9 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, person arrested or imprisoned without charge shall be accorded the same protection as accorded under the Part 1 and Part 2, Section C. Relevant provision of Part 2, Section A shall likewise be applicable where their application may be conduct side to the benefit of the special ground of person in custody, provided that no measures shall be taken implying the re-education or rehabilitation is in any way appropriate to person not convicted of any criminal offense. Sa Article 9 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ang tao daw nga na-arrest or imprisoned without charge daw, kay dapat daw same ang protection nila according sa Part 1 o Part 2 sa Section C. Giaresto siya nga walay kaso, or kung ang mabuhat ang aresto without legal ground and police or public official, ang ilang kaso is arbitrary detention. Din kung sa private prisoner naman kay ang mabuhat ang ilang kaso kay illegal detention.